All right, in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, Kirk McCaleb here with another episode of So That Happened, stories from the Sacramento 80s music scene, and I'm here with the Gun Monkey. Gun
What?
Monkey? No.
What?
I'm here with the Sunken Foreheads?
No.
No, I'm here with the Tattooed Love Dogs.
There you go.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Vinny Montoya, Mike Blanchard, and Larry Schiavone from the Tattooed Love Dogs. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Well, thank you.
Good.
Obviously, I want to know everything about you guys, but why don't you start out with how you guys met? How did the whole Tattooed Love Dogs first start?
Mike had a good friend who was living above the family. It was my girlfriend's family. And it was a musician scene on the 21st and P Street corridor. And we started talking about, after meeting, talking about music. And then my girlfriend's brother, Victor Damiani, wanted to join up with us and play some music. And so Mike lived a few doors down. And so we just started playing music. That eventually became the Tattooed Love Dogs, but Victor was never in that. We had a name. We were the Slant Six for a short period of time.
With my brother in the band. With my brother Morgan in the band as a singer.
But we met as part of an enclave of artists, musicians, really cool people that we knew in a small area.
Super hub of very creative people. It was a really great scene going on in Midtown.
Yeah, Midtown was really where it was. There were a lot of clubs in Midtown too, so there was plenty of places to play. What were some of the early places that you guys played?
Well, within a block of our house was
Press
Townhouse, the Press Club, the Round Corner, the Buffalo Club.
We would just hand
Old Tavern, the Zebra.
I lived there for years.
We were the house band at the Townhouse, which was half a block away, so all our equipment was on rollers. We would just carry it down the steps and roll it down the street and into the club. Curtis Mick, who played keyboards with us, was a bartender there, and so we were the house band Thursday and Saturday nights. We would generally make about $300 a night, which in the 80s
It's good.
is pretty solid money, you know, for a band on the regular.
Doing your own
Was Curtis at 17th and O?
Where did he live?
Yeah.
No, he lived on, well, when we knew him, he lived on the corner of 21st and I.
Yeah. In the white walk-up.
In that corner, with goddamn Jerry Sherman.
He and Terry Sherman, yeah. We're gonna do a sort of a ride around of all the old haunts and clubs, and we just remember that 21st and P area you talked about, and 17th and O. Curtis lived there, probably with Jerry Sherman, because why not? But that was a big after-hours spot. Where was your after-hours spot?
Usually back at his
My house. I lived in the house.
It was across the street from either club, Press Club or
It
Townhouse.
was next to Levels Antiques, and Maurice Fitzmaurice, who was also a Sacramento musician with the Mnemonics, his mother owned the house. And so I ended up taking the house after him. And the funny thing about it was right next door to us where the subway was a whorehouse at the time.
Yeah.
So there was all kinds of crazy shit going on in front of the whorehouse. But yeah, that was our spot, and that was where everybody convened, and we carried on for years.
Well, Kirk and I both lived at 19th and Capitol with Dean.
Yeah. Well, Larry and Laura Hulst lived on 26th.
That was my girlfriend's parents.
Vinny went out with one of
That's
their
where I met Mike.
daughters.
Mike was friends with a gal who lived upstairs.
With Vanessa, and Rick DePrato was her roommate, and he was our first drummer.
And the band that played upstairs was Lunatic Fringe.
Yeah.
With we were just talking about him on Sunday.
Yeah.
You were asking about
With Max Myers.
Max Myers.
Yeah.
Labial Fricative.
Labial Fricative. Yeah.
I used to love
Those
that
are band names from the
Yeah.
past.
Love it.
And what were your guys' influences? I mean, you can go individually, what were your influences, but as a band, what were your influences for the music that you guys were writing?
That's a great question, because the first couple of times Mike and I played together, I think our differences were so kind of stark that it took us a little while to find the space. I was coming from, a bunch of siblings that turned me on to Motown, The Dead, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, and my parents who taught the Spanish corrido songs on Sunday mornings, and Mike comes in with a great attitude, and I mean he knew what he wanted to do, but there was this twang in his voice and this snarl in his guitar, and I kind of had to like, all right, I can find a place in here, and it ended up working well for the last 35 years.
No, yeah, your guys' songs, your collaboration and song, the styles are really, really good. As a matter of fact, one of the songs that I'm going to play in this episode was one that I recorded at Sean's place upstairs in the Hurley.
Uh-huh.
It was Super Bowl, I think 2017. I think it was one of the last concerts that we ever had there, or that Sean ever had there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Larry.
I got nothing.
What do you mean, Larry?
Larry's a drum corps guy. He's like
Well,
100%.
So what
drum
year
corps.
did you make it back up here from LA?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was the thing. I was living in LA. It was kind of happenstance that I wound up down there, but things kind of life happened. I had kids and everything, and mom and babies wanted to come back here, and I wanted to be near them, and these guys were already making a big splash here. And Rick Del Prado was the original drummer, who was like one of my amazing iconic friends I look up to. But no, he wanted out, and I think I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I was working at, I worked off and on before I moved to LA at Skips Music, and
I may be one of the only musicians in Sacramento that didn't work.
well,
I didn't work at Skip.
it was the bastion
I'm
of
glad to
coolness,
remember
man.
who told us about you, because
Yeah, I
somebody
think-
told me
I think
you
it
should
was-
call this guy. It was like Larry Gosh.
I think it was either Larry Gosh or Jerry Woods, because those were the
Somebody
cool
told me
managers
there
at
was
the
this
time.
guy. You guys were looking for a drummer.
And he's
Here's
coming
this
back.
number. He's coming back. Call him. And you know what hooked you was I knew how to spell your name. He was like, "Oh, okay, all right, respect."
I've been called much worse, and deservedly so. Yeah.
Like a last question of spelling bee.
Yeah, well, so anyway, I was living in LA. I was doing all kinds of stuff down there. I was, working construction. I was playing with several different bands down there. I was on staff at one of the local South Bay Sound. It was a little recording studio down there, and I got, exposed to a lot of different stuff. That's when they used to send you cassettes in the mail, and so I, while I was still down there, the move was going to happen. I go, man, I'm doing everybody else's music. I always wanted to be some part of something that was, legitimately, going somewhere, or it was, it was its own thing. It wasn't trying to be like anybody else, and I remember I auditioned for you guys over at Matt Eric's,
Oh, really?
right?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to practice at Mount Eric's.
Yeah, I mean, and there's
We did 2 nights a week at Matt Eric's, right?
I think
Tuesdays and Thursdays, or was it just?
I can't remember now.
So you're right. Now that's starting to come back
So
to Matt Eric's.
I like the tunes, and and it was something I could, I was believing in,
Sink your teeth into it.
Sure, I put all my mind into it, and I guess they were, auditioning guys from Thin Right Rope and things.
Yeah,
like
he actually
that.
never made it over, but he was very interested.
Wow.
And then we stopped after you.
After you came, we were like,
That's
"Oh,
it.
that dude. Okay, let's go with this."
So
That's when
on
everything went south.
whichever night we used to practice at Matt Eric's for about a year, we had the slot Tuesday night 7 to 10, and we were in the small room, and in the big room was Cake, and in the super big room was the Deftones.
Deftones.
For about a year,
Those guys were
we
so
rehearsed
loud.
same time, 7 to 10.
That's where the
Well, that's why Matt's rooms were
where the
carpeted
Deftones
this thick.
Yeah,
I mean,
we could play louder than both those guys.
Well, and two, remember there was the guy who was the drummer of 7 Seconds, had this amazing orange Gretsch kit.
Oh, yeah.
It was just amazing kid. It was so bitchin'. And he would come in and practice by himself when we practiced, and he was so
right.
loud that even in the practice studio you could hear him over there.
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah. So anyway, unfortunately for me, these guys wanted to ride with what I had, and
Larry, when you were in LA, where were you living?
I was living in Long Beach.
That's where, when Waylon and I moved down there, that's where Waylon lived.
Is that right?
Yeah, sure did.
What? Wow.
So we spent a lot of time down there.
Well, there was a studio down there. It was called South Bay Sound.
Yeah.
And the studio manager, what was his name? Billy Lemon. And he was partners with another guy named Kerry Karloff. And these guys were doing gigs like everywhere. I think Kerry was one of the first, this is before tributes or anything. He was doing like this Billy Joel thing that was like insane. It's hard stuff. It was like, it was deep. And so he liked playing with me. And then Billy said, hey, you know what? And that was right around the evolution when people were starting to use drum machines or live drummers. And he used to get people that would go, hey, I want to make a record. And then he goes, well, do you have a band? No. And do you want a live drummer, or do you want someone to program drums for you, or what do you want to do? And all the people they wanted, live drummers for, he used to refer me. And so, I was
Working man.
I was working, I was down there trying to live the dream,
Well, exactly, and utilize your talents. We were talking earlier about sort of the evolution of your sound, and earlier you had sort of a little bit more of an aggressive sound, had sort of the cowpunk thing going on a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
when we were younger, when we first started out, it was a lot more raw and a lot more rock and roll. But as we played together more, we realized that we had this great vocal thing going, and we could sing harmony, and that it made it a lot smoother. Plus, when we started out, Vinny was a good player. Larry's always been a good player. I started out many years ago playing with Dave Carnes and Peter Gansberry, and I was not very good. I had to put in a bunch of work.
Yeah.
And when we started out, even though I was writing songs, they were pretty simple songs, and they've held up, which is good, but they're simple songs. But the more you play, the more creativity gets rolling, and one thing begets another, and you learn and you listen to a lot of stuff and you get better. So as the more we played, the better we got, but we developed our own style. And I think one of the hallmarks of the band has been that no matter what song you hear, it's pretty quickly identifiable clearly as the Tattooed Love Dogs.
Yeah. That's
And
goal,
that-
really.
Yeah.
Is to establish the sound.
Yeah.
Or when the people hear it, they go, "Oh, that's TTLD."
Right. And it's always been important to us as well that the set not completely sound the same from beginning to end. We want to play different types of music, different styles of music, different beats, different things, so that one, it's more interesting for us, but two, it's more interesting for the customer, for the fans, because they get to hear all kinds of interesting stuff,
Plus, we were in our 20s when we started, and when you're in your 20s, it's all about,
Good place to
let's rock.
Oh, dude, we were out for girls.
Yeah, and so
We were out for girls like
it's
hard.
just natural as you get older to like, oh, we can sing harmonies now. Let's slow that down. Let's slow that down.
Experiment worked.
Everything we
Eventually,
tried worked.
you guys are really good songwriters, and did you at some point realize, hey, these are pretty darn good songs, maybe we should make that our focus, make our presentation of the song so that people can really hear them, get involved, and appreciate the song for what it is?
I think so. I mean, the evolution was part. You're getting asked to do bigger and bigger gigs as you're like, we must be getting better. We're opening for out of the jukebox.
Well, we played
Steppenwolf.
with Marshall Tucker, with Steppenwolf, with Leon Russell,
Rage
with
Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine. We played with Cypress Hill. We played with, crazy bands. The Beat Farmers. We played with BTO. We played with
Mojo Nixon.
Mojo Nixon. We played with.
Yeah, there was a bar out in Roseville called the Classic Jukebox.
Yeah.
A pretty good sized room.
Pretty good.
And
Almost
the
1,000
owner
people.
fell in love with us. So anytime a touring act came, we were the opening band. So we had a nice run. Marshall Tucker, Leon Russell.
Marshall Tucker played my high school prom
Nice.
in Atlanta, Georgia.
And these were all nice people. The only person that wasn't really super nice was
John
Kay.
The guy from
John
Steppenwolf.
who?
Yeah.
John Kay from Steppenwolf.
Oh,
His band was great. Every band we played there was super sweet.
They were always really.
BTO was the
really
sweetest
nice.
guys
They
I've
were
ever
like,
met.
afterwards, they were like, "What are you guys doing? Can we go hang out with you guys?"
We had to go do another gig. We had to go do another gig at a press club or Malarkey's or somewhere. We double booked. But no, I mean, that experience to be on a big, I mean, all of a sudden we're not in the back of a corner of a room.
Yeah.
We're on a 50-foot wide stage, 50-foot deep stage, and there's, that's a monitor? The hell's a monitor?
That's what a PA is supposed to sound like.
but when you first start out, you're a young band and you're playing Fat Fonzies or whatever, and then your dream was kind of to open for a bigger band. So you're like, oh, people will come out, and it's kind of a prestige thing for us to be, opening for this band or that band. But at the same time, people are going to listen to you, and they're going to hear you. And there are two schools of thought on that. They've come to hear this other band. What are we doing here? And nobody's going to show up until the other day. And the other school of thought is, 12 people who are here are going to hear us and like us.
Well, I'll tell you, our first gig, we opened up for the Cactus Lickers at the Light Rail Inn. And it was so funny. In fact, I have the poster for it. It was so funny because we did our sound check. The Light Rail Inn is way the fuck out in the suburbs in a really shitty industrial part of town. And it is a low down bar. So we did our sound check and we all went and sat at the bar and got a drink. And the chick who was the bartender pulled her top up and showed us her tits and was like, any of you boys need a blowjob, just let me know, I'll meet you at the back. And we were like, fuck yeah, this is rock and roll. This is awesome.
Top of the world, man.
We did a house band.
And there were probably 10 people there,
Right? Probably a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
One of the goals. Ron Dew was one of my roadies for a while.
I still talk to Ron Dude.
Yeah, I talked to Ron Dew too, and he doesn't talk to a lot of people, by the way.
Oh, I know.
He really doesn't. He doesn't reach
Yeah,
out.
no.
But he and Stamo were known as the Monkey Road Crew,
Yeah.
and they were with us. But one of the things about going to see the Cactus Lickers, you wanted to see how many songs they would play before Derek fell to the drum set. Never more than 4.
They played. They were a good band when they were mostly sober, but they weren't mostly sober.
Scott Prentice. He's the audio manager out at Thunder Valley. So we got to open for Brad Paisley and Tritt.
A great gig. Love Brad.
Yeah,
Paisley.
man. And then and I was fortunate to be in the place because the regular drummer couldn't make it, and kind of had the.
Do you get that a lot? Like people saying our drummer didn't show up. Can you do it?
That's kind of my.
That's your thing.
I want to lay low, say, yeah, that's my niche, you know. I won't make you look bad, you know.
Right. Have drum will travel.
That's kind of thing. Yeah.
Drummer sounded good.
And then Vinny, you know, I used to bust Vinny's chops. I go, "You're not famous," and
No.
I used to bust his balls all the time.
After years of hearing that song, that's the first time I've ever heard that. That is funny. Sorry, Vinny.
I don't, you know, it's so subject, but yeah.
We would all give each other shit.
I love the guy, man. We were paisans, you know. So we still are, you know.
Tattooed Love Dogs is such a good name because you can't really twist it into something snarky. It's kind of already there.
So
How did that come about? How did
I'll be honest. Mike or Curtis brought up the name at a rehearsal, and like I said, we were transitioning out of Slant Six. We wanted a new name. We're like, let's try the Tattooed Love Dogs for this party and see if it works. And it worked. Everybody loved it at the party. Nobody knew what it was or what it meant. But as time went on, two things occurred to me. One was that when we were doing our Malarkeys run with Free Beer, which
The
is
Shout.
the Shout, and Free Beer turned into the Nickel Slots
Nickel
now.
Slots.
But I mean, what was the band right after Free Beer that they were?
I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, it escapes me now. But all great guys. We were pulling in 300 people in Malarkeys. Each band was making $700-800, maybe more than that, at $5 a head. And we had like this contingent of state worker ladies that got to come and see us. That their whole escape was, we're going to see the Tattooed Love Dogs.
That was half of
like it was a bad word, you know, and their husbands weren't allowed to come. The women were coming out, 15, 20 of them at a time, and they danced their asses off, and then we got to meet the Beer Dogs, who were great guys, took us in, welcomed us, and we did some shows together, not a lot because they were just a working band. But what was funny is that they actually had tattoos all up and down their arms, and we didn't. And then we got a Budweiser sponsorship, so we were the beer band. They were the beer dogs, but we were the love dogs. Yeah. So then we played on Good Morning Sacramento and Marcus Allen.
Yeah.
We played a show. We played 2 songs. Then he came to interview us, and he goes, "I'm here with the Beer Dogs," and we're like,
We're like,
"We're the Beer Dogs." And so we got 5 minutes of fame from those 2 things. But
well, we had the sports show on Channel 10.
Jim Fraser.
Jimmy Fraser got us this gig, and
it was Monday after Monday Night Football. You know, all the sports channels would have their thing, but the local affiliate here let Jim, the sportscaster at the time, who eventually went to ESPN, he would have his Monday night sports show following Monday Night Football, and he had us in the studio, and we got a lot of run from that because it was a pretty, you just put the TV
we play
on.
the bumps in and out of the commercials, and we play the intros to the segments of the thing.
And then maybe one song.
He's in Venice now, and he and I.
No, he lives here. He lives in McKinley
he moved
Park.
back to Sacramento.
Oh, he's here.
James, yeah.
Really, he's not in that place, huh?
No.
Because he was saying he was.
No, he's still. Where do you want to go next?
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the songs that you guys have written and recorded, where you recorded them, and some of the favorite ones that you have recorded and why.
There's probably 4 or 5 of our really great songs. Well, Tree of Love, and Sometimes Never Comes, Bong Hits. Rawhide was really killer.
I mean, I have dozens in my mind.
We wrote a
The
lot
names?
of songs. We wrote a lot of songs. I mean, there were years where we played 200 or 250 gigs a year. So we wrote.
We could do 4 sets.
Songs, and there's a lot of songs that we wrote that I can't remember, even though I wrote it or Vinny wrote it, or. But probably, I don't know. What do you think's the most?
Well, Tree of Love is that song that's about what do you call it? Unrequited love.
Yeah, well, it's a breakup.
It's a breakup song, but people ask us to please play it at their wedding.
People want us to play this sad breakup song at their wedding, and they were like, "That's kind of not a good idea. You should play Starlight, which is a great love song, you know." I think every wedding we played at, those people got divorced, and some of them we played their divorce party. So,
That's a perfect record, Mike.
it's a perfect record. We get them at both ends.
That's a nice bookend right there.
It's me not being the songwriter in the band. One of the things I like to do is kind of extract as much emotion or whatever the story the song's about, right? And these guys tell a great story, and the lyrics are killer.
Well, Larry always had something to add that was really tasteful or good ideas. That's the thing about the guys in the band, Larry, Peter, Vincent, everybody's, when we start working together on songs, everybody brings good ideas to the party. There are some bands where some dude is like the sole thing. It's a big benevolent dictatorship, and that dude tells everybody what to do.
Right.
I have never really liked that much, because why would you have a player as good as Larry and not
Just let him do
not
his
accept
thing.
his good ideas?
Sure.
So
Yeah, it's never been an issue because it just seems like note one, we're on it.
So it's more of a songwriting collective?
Well, usually what happens is one person writes the song. And then say I write a song or Vinny writes a song. We'll bring it to each other. Check this out. We'll play it a little bit. Okay, cool. That's rad. We'll bring it to the band. Check out this new song I got. Here's what I'm thinking. Larry will go, hey, let's try this for the intro. Let's try this, or why don't we let's do an a cappella part here or whatever. And so when we put all of that together, the song comes fairly well realized, but it's not polished. And then we polish it together. So even though one person might have written most of the song, 90, 75, half of the song, whatever, the other guys bring the sauce.
There was that synergy, that yin and yang sort of, I have this vision, and the vision is almost complete, but not quite. And then it ends up, it was just a good chemistry. We all work together like that.
You find that playing the songs live makes them more cohesive?
Absolutely.
Kind of brings them together.
Absolutely. Recording even more so.
They're kind of floating around, and all of a sudden you play it live a few times, and you've got yourself what you were looking for in the first place.
Especially when you get a positive reaction.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden it's like, oh, well.
It's nothing like it, right?
Yeah. That's why we're still doing it.
Yeah. And most of our stuff we recorded at either Enharmonic with John Bach-Chagalupi, or we did our first record at Phil and
Swing Street?
Swing
at
Street.
Swing Street.
Larry Luzon.
Larry Luzon. Yeah.
And then over at Studio Z.
At Studio
Whitaker.
C. Dave Whitaker. We recorded with Dave Whitaker. So really, some of the best
We were one of
places in town.
if you want to go back in time, John Bach-Chagalupi, his first studio was in his
basement.
on 20th Street. And there's not a whole lot of bands that can say that that's where they did their... Because then he went to the big studio, which we recorded there a couple of times.
Sure.
The big room sound, this long lost recording that we're looking at releasing, it's about 6 or 7 songs.
That's from the big room.
That's from the big room, us playing live, and it's a big sound. When I heard it, I was like, this is not real. I mean, it does not sound digital. It doesn't sound like we're in a small room in a basement. It sounds like we are in a cavern. I mean, and it's where the big skate ramp was at Enharmonic. I mean,
Which was John's style.
which is John's style.
Back then, you kind of had Enharmonic and Moon.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have a whole lot more than that.
Nothing in
Heavenly
between.
was over there, but they were, training people how to be engineers.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So those are really the guys that we worked with for the most part. And there was a comfort level. We liked them. They liked us. We felt we trusted what they were going to sound like. And,
Sure.
each of our recording projects has sounded different. Our first, the recording we did with John Bach-Chagalupi, we released as a cassette because that's what you did at the time.
That's what you did.
And it sounds really solid. The next one we did at Swing Street, and we released it as a CD, and that's way more polished, way more produced. Then our third record, Oklahoma De Janeiro, was kind of in between the two. It was a little looser, but still a really tight thing. And we recorded it at Enharmonic, and we mixed it at Studio Z on the big Trident board that
Everybody.
Fleetwood Mac had been in the plant. So Fleetwood Mac did Rumors through that board. There were tons of really killer top hit records that
Now, the
went through
record
that
plant
board.
was in San Francisco for a while.
Sausalito.
Sausalito.
And Sausalito, that's right.
Yeah.
And
Which is where John is now.
Yeah, no, he's in
David,
Stinson Beach, but
Oh, Stinson.
But yeah, I mean, like the Doobie Brothers did a lot of stuff through that board. Fleetwood Mac did a bunch of stuff through that board. Van Morrison, just tons of acts.
this is like Pearl Harbor and the Explosions recorded there, you know?
So yeah, so Dave Whitaker and those guys at Studio Z on J Street have that board, and they had a ton of really great outboard gear and mics, and we just kind of polished it up. I think we did all the basic tracks in the big room at Enharmonic, and then we did all the overdubs at Studio Z and mixed it there.
Yeah.
So, which was kind of the best of both worlds because we got that big room sound, big killer live cuts sound, and then we were able to polish it at Studio Z.
I think I still have a couple of reels of 2-inch tapes.
I have a box full of it. You know, that record, Oklahoma de Janeiro, sells for a ton of money online.
What?
Yeah.
We don't have any of them. We sold all of them to Valley Records. Our distributors were Tower and Valley Records, and when they closed, they basically paid us for all the stock they had, and so then it went out into the world.
Yeah.
And I've seen copies of Oklahoma de Janeiro for $800
What?
online. Yeah.
Whoa.
In fact, one of the local radio shows called me. I get this call one night. I get this call one night from this radio producer who's like, "Hey, blah blah blah. I'm from blah 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 radio station, and we were just talking about the old days and music and the Tattooed Love Dogs. We saw your records like selling for all this money on. Would you be willing to talk on the air?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." So I'm talking with the DJ. And he's asking me like, "Is that crazy?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's crazy, but I don't get any. We don't get any of that money."
I know, because it's all you.
We got paid $5 a piece for that record or whatever,
It just adds to your legend.
But if you look at the reviews online, it's like, this is a legendary Sacramento alt twang rock American.
No words like iconic.
Dude, you want to get a fat head? Go online and Google your own names.
Yeah, I've seen some of our stuff. Selling for way more than I would ever pay for.
Oh yeah, it's just a joke to me.
I bought a thin
We don't
white
have
book.
any more of them. Each of us might have one copy of it.
Is that right?
I have it burned onto my CD, the files, but it's a really good record. It's a really solid record.
I don't have that record.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about where the inspiration to continue not only to play music today, but to continue to write, and how to continue to find that spark of writing new material that maybe doesn't sound like your old material, but still has that hearkening of the Tattooed Love Dog sound.
So in about 2004, I believe, is when Mike pulled away from the Love Dogs. He had 3 young sons, and it was like I'm just going to pay attention. I have to do this. So Mike left the band with our blessing. Like, you got to do what you got to do, And we weren't going to continue under the same name because that monster voice was gone. But I started writing songs and slid into the front man. And we changed the name. Same guys. They were all Love Dogs, but just no Mike. And we knew we couldn't call that because it sounded nothing like it. And we weren't doing any Love Dog songs. But my approach as a songwriter at that point was still kind of Beatley pop, power pop songs. And I slid into that role. And we played till 2010 when I hit the wall. And I needed to, after all these years, to pull away. We had a run of Old Sac. We were going to play the party up in New Year's for your buddy up in Grass Valley. Mm-hmm. We had just, this is the holidays, parties, boom, boom. And we had one more gig to satisfy, which I think I did do. But it was about a week before we played at Old Sac, and I was living in Roseville with my girlfriend. So I would go down 5 over to Riego Road, the back way to get home. And I pull in the driveway, lift up the back of my 4Runner. I go inside to pee, grab a beer. I sat at the kitchen table. And then I went and sat down on a chair. And then I woke up with the sun coming up, and I'm like, holy crap. I ran outside. All of my gear was still there, but the trunk was open. All of my gear was still there, and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, I called the band that morning. I was like, I can't do this. I didn't even know that I made it home last night. That's not a good place to be. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I made it. I made it fine because you just get on that automatic pilot. But once I got home and relaxed for a second, I wasn't thinking about my car or anything. I just sat down with beer, you know. And so when everything was safe in the morning and I pulled it all in and I finally went and got some sleep, that afternoon I told the guys I just need for my own
This
health.
is the wall that I heard about.
And then
How did they come back? How did you guys get back together after these 5 years?
Well, Mike had been playing with his band, the Californios, Mike Venture, the Californios. And in 2015, I had lived with my girlfriend for 10 years, and we were splitting up. And Mike and Lorianne offered me their room right here. So I came over here and stayed for a couple weeks. And I just happened to be here at Californios rehearsal. Mike's like, we just lost our guitar player. Grab a guitar. And 10 years later,
Here we are.
yeah.
Wow.
It's very organic.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if that's good or not. If it's better to have everything like really planned, or just have things.
Or
real
just
heavy.
let yourself
Every once in a
into
while,
it.
we've organicked ourselves into a corner and then had to like fire somebody or something.
But just for your peace of mind and for your soul and for your well-being, I think, you know, you have bands and they have a goal, they have an aim, and they're ambitious, and this is the trajectory. And when you're organic, you're still making music. Usually the music's a little better, and you feel a whole lot better about it.
Well, the thing was, we'd had a really great run for a long time, and there was that period of a band's life where it's on the rise. We got to the point where we were sitting in an office with the guys from Mercury Records and
MCA.
MCA, and we were like,
We were doing showcases. We'd go down to LA. And so the thing we learned at that point, because we knew that we had twang in our sound. We knew we wanted to rock. We had twang. The guy from Mercury Records was like, I'd really like to send you to Mercury Nashville. And Billy Ray Cyrus was #1 at the time. And we were like, that's what was happening.
we kind of don't like Billy Ray Cyrus.
It was like, okay, that's a leap we're going to have to take. But at the same time, here was, you know, the burgeoning Seattle sound coming out with the bludgeoning Seattle sound. But that was what was happening. But we were walking that fine line where we worked.
Well, they were like, well, what are you guys, a country band or a rock band? This was before Americana, before there was Sturgill Simpson, and before any of these other bands.
Alternate twang.
Alternate twang. So
Alternate twang.
yeah, it was just, you know, the thing was,
Country
is
Beatles.
I
Some
kind
call
of
us country
we had
Beatles.
had a lot.
Techno.
We went through that period of a band's life where they're on the rise,
Techno.
and then they kind of get on each other's nerves, and people need to do other things. And so, you know, Peter had lost his parents. He was just in shock and really unhappy. We needed to not do that for a while. And so I didn't play music for a long time. And then I started having barbecues on Friday night, and friends come over and we play. And we did that for a year and a half, 2 years. And then we were like, play a gig maybe would be good, you know. And Larry is such a professional. Like, he never quit. Everybody was like, Larry Schiavone, he's free. Let's call him.
Cry for help.
Let's call him. So, you know, and so,
Sorry, go ahead.
and it just became one of those things where we learned to enjoy it again and have fun. I mean, Vinny and I mostly enjoy it again and have fun, and we've all come back to each other and be friends. And you know, Peter and I have still have a good relationship, and Vinny and I have a good relationship, and Larry, and you know, we're trying to get Scotty a little more involved, but you know, we've had a number of people in the bands, and people have had various issues, you know, and that's the way life is. So
We've been a band for a long time.
but we're always there for each other, and I know that's a really trite cliche, but it's actually true in this case. It's actually
We've been playing since
true.
'87.
Well,
Yeah.
We played before that, but we didn't have a band until
Yeah.
'87. We played like '85, '86
Yeah.
for a couple of years. But I remember I was telling him earlier that I graduated in '82, and my 5-year reunion in '87, I was like, I got a gig at the Pine Cove, man. I ain't going to that.
Exactly. Well, don't you find that if you're a band for a long time and you're riding this wave, and it's like you feel like you're kind of part of the zeitgeist there, and then the zeitgeist changes, and you're still doing what you do, you're still loving what you do, but in some ways, that zeitgeist has
We had a
pushed
run. We had a
something else.
run better than a lot of bands.
Well, you still have the run.
we still have the run, but
Yeah.
I mean, we had monthlies that Malarkey's, Fox and Goose, Harlow's.
We had regular-
they couldn't get
regular
enough of us at
gigs.
all of the clubs downtown, and it's just nice that they're asking you to play that, and then to be nominated for Sammys, win Sammys,
Right.
play the concerts in the park for 10 years in a row. We did probably 15 New Year's at Fox and Goose, 15 in a row, and at $5 a head, and then they would pay us part of the bar at that point in time. 13, 14, 15
Sacramento's
$100.
always been a great place to play live because there were so many venues.
Yeah.
But your
Yeah.
longevity, I
We
think.
played just about everywhere. We didn't play Galactica.
Oh,
I don't think did. We play? We did, because remember it had that upstairs
Yep.
thing. You had to push all your equipment up the ramp.
We played
Yeah,
the
we did
Class.
play there.
I made a list of all the clubs that were around in the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, and it's like 3
I never
pages.
played at Cantel. You played at Cantel a bunch.
times.
I never
I
played there.
never
I
did.
went to a million shows there.
Yeah.
I roadied for other friends of mine's bands. For Dave and the Vicious Gel, I used to roadie for them because they played with like the Damned and some like killer bands. I'm like, I'll carry your shit.
Well, I remember when Club Cantel was being built, driving nails into the stage.
Sure.
We all just wanted to pitch in and make it happen. It's very community. But your longevity, I think, exceeds most bands in this town. I think maybe the Beer Dogs might be the only people who have gone longer than you guys. And it's because you were able to go organic and change your attitude and kick back a little bit and do the Californios and maybe just not take it all so seriously, and then it all becomes just a little bit more poignant.
Well, the whole thing's changed. I mean, Larry would probably be able to talk about it too, but I mean, as you get older, the scene changes. There's so many things going on. The young people that I know, they're like, "Are you going to see this band?" I'm like, "Fuck, I never heard of that band before."
Yeah. Well, my perspective, is I wasn't here at the inception, but it was always, we always cared about each other, and if we all needed space in our life, well, that was okay. It wasn't like, well, what about me? It wasn't never about one person. It was about, hey, man, this is where we are.
And here you are.
And here we are.
Still standing.
You know what?
Yeah.
I've myself, I've distilled it down to, I make music I love with people I love. Period. I don't care about the money anymore. I really don't. And and it's just,
That's the real reward.
I value every moment I get to, just spend time with, but even more so celebrate playing music. I mean, that's the ultimate communication. That's the
why
ultimate
that's still
language.
around.
That's-
Well, there are still those moments when you're playing when you look at each other and you're like,
yeah, that's the closest thing to magic. I
mean,
can
it's
come
nice to
up
get paid, and I insist that we get paid well because I have professional players in my band, and they deserve to get paid. So if somebody's offered me $150, I ain't going. Well, I say that, but
Yeah, I know what you mean.
but I've played. You know what I mean?
I
If
know what
it's
you mean. I know.
if it's Scott Carpenter saying, "Hey, my father-in-law died, and we're doing a memorial, and I can't pay you. You want to come play?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm playing. You tell me where I'm going to be
For
there."
love, yeah.
But if some club calls me from blah 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 and says, "Oh, well, we don't have that much money. We could pay you $150," I'm like, no.
All right, Mike. So we got this plethora of old stuff here, old photos. What do we got here? What's this?
Well, this is, we played at the Fox and Goose for many years, probably 15 years straight at the Fox and Goose for New Year's. This is a New Year's poster from the Fox and Goose. We always had really kind of wild posters for a long time. Here's a Sammy's show, Summer Sammy's free concert. Where was this? Budweiser presented it. Plaza Park, Cesar Chavez Park, with Early Times and us on Friday.
wow.
Yeah. That was a really good one.
And you guys were sponsored for a while by Budweiser, weren't you?
So yeah, my wife Lori got us a deal. My wife Lori got us a shot at a deal with Anheuser-Busch. And we went and auditioned and just smoked.
Nice.
And so we got a deal with, we were the Bud Light band. So this is one of their official posters that Bud Light did, and we got all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
We got all kinds of stuff, but these are all just different posters. This is there's another one, New Year's Fox and Goose. We were always kind of known for fairly risque posters.
There you go.
You guys are a bunch of parts.
Well, it's on one hand, it's since I stopped really caring about the money, I've never made more money.
Right. Isn't that a weird irony?
I was
The whole
like,
thing.
if I can logistically do it, I mean, there's space on the calendar, I always say yes. I'm never not gonna go.
I'm gonna have to get paid.
Let me see. I don't know. Maybe it's you got to find some sort of balance there, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's
Well,
nobody.
of course.
I just like who gets to do this? I feel like I'm getting away with murder every time.
I was one
That
time.
happens.
I was one time talking with Lori about how I'm gonna quit. I fucking had it. And we go to brunch at Scott's Seafood. We're sitting at the bar having a Bloody Mary, and this couple, we're kind of at the corner, this couple sitting next to us, they're looking at us, and the dude's all, are you in a band? And I'm like, yeah. He's all, is your band Mike Flasher in California? I'm like, yeah. He's all, you're the greatest, never quit. He's all, you guys, I love your band.
I'm doing this forever.
I love your band.
That's the idea.
I didn't even say anything. They were like, I hope you guys just never quit. Just keep playing. I'm like,
Alrighty then.
okay, the universe has spoken on this
That's
subject.
when you get your merchandise person.
Right.
All right, I got to tell you about this hat.
Ismo?
Do you know who Ismo is? No.
Who is Mo?
Ismo is a comedian from Finland. Funniest guy. I mean, I love the guy. Check him out. But he had this. He had this hat. I said, I gotta have one of those hats. And he goes, people ask me all the time, what is Ismo? And he goes, it's an acronym for a couple things. He goes, I suck my own, or I sell merch outside. So, I don't know.
So funny.
Depending on which way you want to go.
Yeah, check this guy out.
And they could mean the same thing.
You laugh your ass off if you he's on YouTube everywhere and all the social media outlets. But just hilarious. I got to actually meet him by chance outside. I saw him at the Crest
Oh, okay.
a couple weeks ago.
So talking about Sacramento music scene at that time, what do you guys think was what made it special, not only for you, but I think for all of us? I've never really seen another time like that. Although great music has happened since then, there was something about the time in the 80s in Sacramento that just seemed so special. Thoughts?
It wouldn't really hit you until somebody like Dusty Hamilton at Cafe Montreal would I need a favor, I need everyone to come and play. And all of a sudden, Mother Hips, Cake, all the local bands who sometimes we're all playing so much we don't get to go see each other because we're all busy. But now we're all sharing a stage. And so that's when it kind of hit you, because there weren't a lot of bands mimicking each other. Everybody had their own sound, whether it was heavy or soft, harmonic or, monotone, whatever,
They weren't being shaped by a record company or a record industry. It was organic, like you guys were
There
talking
was a
about.
lot of people feeding off each other or trying different ideas, and there were a lot of people that played in different bands that played, that's the thing. Vinny and I didn't play in a lot of other bands, but there were other players that played in a ton of different bands, just at different times. Rob Meyer that plays with us played in just a ton of bands.
I don't know if there's a Sacramento sound, because people always talk about the grunge scene, and there was a bunch of bands that played that.
But I mean, the Deftones sound way different than Cake. Sound
my
way
point.
different from
Tesla,
yeah.
Pride and Peril,
Right.
Fungo Mungo. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, everybody was
Sunken foreheads.
the sunken foreheads.
Right.
We opened for them at least twice, I think.
Right.
But I mean,
But everybody was
unique, and that's what I think the sound of Sacramento is. You could just call it unique, because really quality stuff, but in every direction. And that's
Well, and the scene was much different. There were more clubs.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of different subtle factors that contributed to it. I mean, you could get arrested for drunk driving, but believe me, it was a lot more lax than it is now.
Yeah.
There were ways to promote bands that there aren't now. Like, we used to go out and flyer on poles for days.
The stapler.
Now you can't do that. And online is not super effective. You know, it really is not super effective. And the other thing is that there's not a culture of younger people that want to go out and see live bands. There wasn't the internet. There wasn't Instagram. There wasn't Facebook. There wasn't any of that stuff. When young people, in the 70s and 80s, when young people grew up, before those types of things, before cell phones, young people wanted to get away from their parents, and they wanted to be with other young people, and they wanted to go do fun things. And so they were going to go to Club Minimal. They were going to go to Club Cantel. They were going to go to various live places, and there were places that catered to that age group of people because they had some money to spend. And the other nice thing about Midtown was the money had not come to Midtown. The guys from Granite Bay had not come to Midtown. Midtown was wild, and we had no problem telling people, yeah, it's kind of dangerous. You shouldn't come down there. You know? I mean, I know of instances where there were gunshots and the cops never showed up, like didn't even bother to show up. So there was a whole other scene that was going on that's way different than what the scene is now. And there were a whole significant group of people that wanted to go see live music, were used to seeing live music, and were knowledgeable about the local bands. And it made it possible to do.
Yeah. What do you think, Larry? That same?
Yeah. I mean, there was this, I don't know, there was this energy amongst that age demographic to create, and
create organically.
Well, no one was trying to be like anybody else. Everyone was kind of, I guess there was influences, but there wasn't people trying to sound like Steel Breeze. Or
maybe just the opposite.
Or maybe. What can
those guys have their sound.
It was honest.
Sound.
It was all honest. It was what came out,
and there was free parking.
You could park.
Yeah. So, I think the way media has changed and just culturally, I teach private drum lessons. That's my day gig, and just having kids, just trying to get them. You're ready. You should start playing with other people. You should start. Do you know a guitar player or a bass player, or get together and just see what comes out. You never know. That's how you really discover things like this. And hey, when you get a little bit older, you start to meet other people that have the same kind of influences, and you're interested in the same kind of things. And this is how these things grow. And it just seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting old, but it's harder and harder for kids to want to step outside of the box and do that.
They've known electronics.
Oh, there's this old
since before they could walk.
Sure.
It's all they've ever known. And I was born in 1955. And we were all out in the street until somebody yelled at me.
As long as you can hear your dad's whistle.
My mom would lock us out of the house.
Yeah. And so in the 80s and even the 90s, certainly in the 70s too, people were out in the streets. They were together, and the dangers never occurred to us.
Yeah.
Well, there weren't as many. I don't think there were as many dangers. There's way more people in the country now. When you have more people, you have more problems, more issues, more things. And, when there's fewer people, you have fewer of these types of things. Plus, it was a different society, think about, I used to walk to school in elementary school when I was in first grade, and I walked a long way. There's no way I would let my grandson walk that far to go to school now. He could do it. But I would freak out. You know what I mean?
We were called free range kids.
Right.
Oh yeah,
free range.
Yeah, my mom used to lock us out in the summer, and she'd be like, "Drink out of the hose." Are you bleeding?
My dad had a whistle, and as long as we were within an earshot of that, and the minute you didn't hear the whistle, You were in for it. But we could hear it probably 200 to 300 yards away. I mean, he had a whistle. And because, we're a U-turn neighborhood that went into a field, and then St. Ignatius is on Arden Way. That's all apartments now in Alta Arden.
Yeah.
Back then, it was just a huge field with creeks and little mini hills, and we did our bikes. We had BB gun wars at St. Ignatius. I mean, we didn't, I got here, You could almost see the BB coming from 50 feet away. You get ticked, right?
Well, you're
Suck
one
it up.
pump BB wars?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like
Three pumps.
you had to be a long ways away.
The stick in your skin.
But yeah, you hear that whistle about 9:30, quarter to 10.
It's time to go home.
All right, so
And that kid who did get hit in the eye with a BB, you never mentioned it, and he never mentioned it.
Right.
Larry's got like 5 or 10 minutes max
so I just
left.
wanted to ask one more question. That was all-time favorite gig or something that you guys did together that you were most proud of throughout your whole time together.
My favorite gig was we played at Big Top Loco and we opened for Rage Against the Machine in Cypress Hill.
That's my.
And there was a huge
We weren't
huge
supposed
mosh pit.
we weren't supposed to open for that.
Chicks like pulling their tops up.
What happened was my brother produced this.
Healing experience.
It's a reoccurring.
My brother produced a show at the Olympic Auditorium parking lot, Big Top Locos. He did get Cypress Hill and Rage Against the Machine to headline. They had 4 stages. We were on a small stage across from the big stage, and there was all kinds of attrition and stuff going on backstage that we did not know. We were supposed to close the afternoon set and then wait 2 hours before the evening set. Well, the band that was going to open for those 2 bands, they got sent packing. They did something really stupid backstage, and they were like, get the hell out of here. So these roadies start coming across the parking lot, going through the crowd, grabbed our stuff off the stage and said, you guys are now going to open the evening set. And, our cords barely reached.
Dude, we had club cords. The stage was like 40 feet.
And all of their shit was already set up. So we're on the very front edge of the
Amps were
stage.
like way up towards the front of the stage because
So-
we only had like 12-foot long cords.
We did set up, right? And we were going to open, we had a set list. We were going to open with our Heartbreaker, Tree of Love.
Yeah.
This crowd was like getting ready to burst. And I'm looking
We
at
hit
that
Feel
list.
Shine and See.
We opened with our closer, which is our big rocker, and it didn't matter what
The
we played.
place
after
just
that.
went crazy.
The place just went
It was
crazy.
just like
6,000, 7,000
Dude, it
people
was
just doing this, and we had never
fucking
seen
crazy.
that from a club.
And
And
we were all looking at each other like,
is this really happening?
Don't you find, I always found that the bigger the crowd, the easier it was?
Mhm.
Because you can go out in front of...
well, you get so much energy from the crowd. You just get so
5,000
much
people and
energy.
Say, hello, Cleveland, and they lose their mind.
Yeah.
But if you're playing to 30 people and in close quarters, it's, you're just dodging the Heineken bottles, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we actually had that happen a couple times because we played at Paradise one time and we were opening for the Stone Temple Pilots on the very first gig, the very first week their first record came out. And they showed up and threw a fit because the bologna wasn't cut in the shape of a star or something and refused to play.
The Van Halen experience.
And so we
They
were
left. They left.
like, okay.
A week later, they
we
were
played
on
the whole night.
MTV. Right? So they bumped us to the big stage because we were going to be on the small, Americana stage.
Yeah.
See, it pays to be nice guys.
Right? Every once in a while.
All of a sudden, you're a arena rocker.
What was your favorite gig, Larry?
I was good. Big Top Loco was the one for me. That I.
We'd never really seen a sea of people
Yeah.
all jumping up and down, reacting to us.
We've had some good ones, man.
Yeah.
We've had some good. Some of those concerts in the park.
Oh, yeah. my God.
Yeah, we had some huge concerts in the park.
Chavez was just like just a sea of people into it, man.
And knowing a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was pretty monster.
And our kids are there and all that stuff.
Right.
The Heritage Festival,
Heritage
those were pretty
Festival.
good shows.
Hate to be cliche, but at the end of the day, a cliche phrase, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's about. You've all of a sudden, after all this time, you are one with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we were one
Hey,
with
are
the
you-
crowd
you
at Big
were
Top Loco. We were having a grand old time. They put us up at the Beverly Hilton, and we were standing in line to check in, and the specials were in front of us, and we were talking with the specials. Like they're like, "Where are you guys? Where are you playing?" And
What's Terry Hall?
We're like, we're playing over here. They're like, oh, we're playing over here. We're like, let's meet out at the bar. Let's meet out at the pool later and have a beer. Okay. So we
With their Ismo hats on, saying, "I sell merch outside."
Ismo Loitka, you got to check him out, man. He's so funny.
All right, hey, you guys, do that radio spot we've been rehearsing.
the one about and that
the tattooed love dogs.
There you go. So we were talking a little bit about the multitude of other people that have been in the Love Dogs for long periods of time, short periods of time. Let's talk a little bit about those and their influence on the sound, your friendship. Are those friendships still together?
Sure. So the first serious gigging lineup was Randy Smith, Mike, myself, and Rick DePrado, drummer. Randy Smith was a skateboard hero here in town.
great bass player.
But he was a slap. You know, here we are doing our turn of twang, and he's funking it up, slap bass, and that really worked for what we were doing. "Walk the Streets" is one of my favorite songs, and it's a skateboard song, and it's really simple chords, but Randy's bass coming up and down the fret with those chords, it was magic. I mean, it was an instant dance.
Plus, he was super handsome. Like
Yeah.
the girls were like, "Wow, that guy."
Right. And then we added Curtis Hillier on keyboards. That band played for a couple of years together. Randy eventually left, and before Peter came aboard, Eric Fremstead played bass with us.
Oh, that's right, Fram.
So for a while, it was Curtis, Mike, myself, Eric Fremstead, and Rick DePrado. And then Frem was never a long term. He was like, I'll play the gigs until you.
Yeah,
guys
he was
run."
just like I'm a substitute kind of.
And then Peter Gansberry came in. Like I said, Mike goes, I'm going to call Peter. And the weekend before that, we had played with the Tiki Men at Old Ironside Surf Band. And when he said, I'm going to call Peter, see if he wants to come and play bass, I was like, I had no idea Peter Husing was leaving the Tiki Men. So then knock on the door, and I think I had met Peter Gansberry before, but he's like, hey, I'm Peter. And I'm like, oh yeah, right on, dude. I didn't even bring up the other guy. I was like, let's do it. And he was automatic as well. I mean, it just seems like everybody who's come through has just automatically fit in. And they're all such different individuals that's what kind of make us feel like we've got what it took to attract musicians, because all different backgrounds and Peter was straight up coming from the punk area.
Fish gels.
And that's why I thought our earlier sound kind of had there was some country punk going on. I mean, we did a raucous punk version of Beach Boys in My Room, and it was punk.
It's wild.
It's punk. And it's not actually screamo. It's just. I mean, and it's on that recording. I don't know if it's going to make the cut yet because there's some glitches and whatnot. I don't mind the glitches when we hear something that we did 30 years ago because it doesn't really matter. I mean, it was like there just for 1 second.
Yeah. But the nice thing about Peter was Peter's a good songwriter, and Peter would he was a very dry humor kind of guy, but he's super into comedy and humor. But very, very dry. And if you didn't know him, you would think, like, is that guy making fun of me? You know?
Yeah.
But really, and then all of a sudden he would pop out with this gem of a song, like, holy shit, just super well realized.
He probably wrote one of the best Rolling Stone songs ever.
Yeah. Rawhide, Not Pretty, Nevada Woman. Just
Rawhide is Keith Richards' lick in the intro. It's just you hear it, it's
super
just like
Rolling Stones.
completely, it's like Peter wrote that?
Yeah. And he and I wrote a song called Country Song, which is a super killer. And yeah, just always contributed, just really, the tragedy was it ended up his parents were killed in a horrific plane crash, and it was just super traumatic for everybody. It was an incredibly traumatic experience for all of us. I mean, him worst of all, and I'm sure it still affects
He was my roommate, and I was the one that had to break it to him.
And we had the news stations coming, pounding on the door, wanting to talk, and it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, we had a feeling that was pretty much it for him. He just for his well-being, he just needed to do something else. And they moved to Ashland and
Costa Rica, and then Ashland.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But we've been up there several times to play, and they have a big old home right there in downtown Ashland. And
they have a great surf band. The Not the
Reverberator- reverberation.
The reverberates.
Reverberates.
The reverberates.
Yeah, I played
Yeah.
a little bit of their stuff on that one episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So who played bass after Peter? Or was it
We had Harley.
we had Harley White?
Harley.
We had Harley White. Yeah.
And that wasn't, again, I don't
Well, and then the other member that was just had a huge impact was Scotty George. Vinny, we did a gig at Malarkey's one night, and we made just a massive amount of money, and we were like, we're going to go party. And we were walking out the alley in back of Malarkey's, and Vinny had a glass beer bottle in his hand and tripped and fell down with the glass beer bottle in his hand and cut his thumb off. And
When
we
you cut
had
my
to,
thumb
like,
off, I-
we had to,
So
well, you
what
cut
happened-
the nerve, though. You cut
the tendon.
the tendon.
So what happened is it was only a little tiny hole. I mean, the beer bottle broke. I saw a little squirt of blood. I wasn't even worried about it. I think we're still going to this after hours party. We get in the car, and all of a sudden, I can't do this.
He can't move his hand.
I can't make a fist. I'm trying. My mind is telling me I'm making a fist, but it's not moving. And then when I manually pushed it, squirt. So luckily, my older brother Richard was there, and
Right to the hospital.
right to Kaiser. And another stroke of luck was the emergency doctor on hand at that particular night was the actual hand surgeon.
It's like a neurosurgeon.
They would have called him if I had showed up and he wasn't on duty. They would have called and woke him up and had him come down. So he pulled my tendon. He said it was way up here, and he fused it right here, and then gave me a big butterfly. This butterfly.
Yeah, it was
I couldn't bend my elbow, couldn't bend my wrist, and I was like this for like a month, and the pain was like a constant drill, hot ice, like a red hot drill, constantly drilling a hole in my hand. That's how. I mean, so I was on Vicodin. I was knocking myself out because of the pain. And then the doctor took the deal off about a month later, and when he bent my arm and my wrist joint, I almost fainted.
Oh yeah.
Because it was in one position for 40 days.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna cry or.
So Scotty had this band called Cherry Murmur, and we were all really good friends with those guys.
2 months later, I did do
Tom
a show. I
Bixby
couldn't feel my
and-
fingers
And
for 2 years.
And we got Scotty to come fill in with us because we had gigs booked. And with Vinny's blessing, Vinny was like, "No, do it. Let's try and fill those holes." And so
So I just played the chords with Mike.
Yeah.
Let Scott do all the leads. I couldn't feel. I had to visually see where I was doing.
So yeah, we had Scotty, and Scotty was a really great lead guitar player, and we just had a lot of crazy adventures in Reno and L.A., San Francisco, all over this area.
We got to do South by Southwest.
Played South by Southwest, which was really cool. Really had a crazy road trip out there.
Yeah,
That was fun.
man. Once you hit the border to Texas to get to Austin, it seems like it's 6 months away. I mean,
Forever.
it just never ends. But it was a great experience. We played at Tower Records.
Just down the street from the Continental Club.
Right, but we could see from where we were playing that the book tower.
Oh yeah,
Where
the
the-
tower
where
where
the
John,
assassin-
the guy.
So we're playing. We're
shot,
oh my gosh,
man.
we can see that tower while we're playing. I think BR 549. We played with them there.
I just remember we went and saw Junior Brown play, and we were just like,
And we saw Sunvolt.
wow.
What's that song? What if God was one? That was the big hit. So she had the big street fair show. And then
That's when we saw her. We saw her too.
Time after time.
the big one was the other big one was the Refreshments.
Mhm.
They had that big hit about Star Trek, or they had their big pop hit. I can't remember. There's some kind of science fiction line in their song. I can't
I
remember.
forgot about that. We played South by Southwest.
Yeah, but yeah, we rented a motorhome, and it was just Larry's parents at the time lived in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
And his mom made us a big Italian dish that we got to take in a pot with us. We dropped the pot off on the way back.
These are great road stories, man.
Oh my God.
Really good road stories.
You know, Mike brought a couple of guns and
We
we
were
had
like shooting road signs out the window. We were so bored. We were just
there's
like,
no one out there. No one.
West Texas, there's nothing there. We're just driving along, drinking beer, shooting at things.
I was born in Killeen.
Well, the funny thing was we were going around in Texas. I had my 45 in my back pocket, and nobody ever said anything. Like, we were terrified to buy rolling papers. Like, fucking terrified to buy rolling papers. But a gun? Plus, we were the only ones wearing hats. There was, like, nobody wearing hats. And then we found out, like, the state rodeo championships were going on someplace,
Right.
and everybody with hats was there. So,
Those are the hat people.
we ate at a
the Texas Chilitarium.
to order their hottest dish. You had to sign a waiver.
You had to sign a release.
Peter did.
Peter did.
He did it.
We went to this one gigantic barbecue place in Petersburg, and Vinny ordered like a 72-ounce steak, and the waitress was like, "What are y'all, a pussy?" We're like,
No. I didn't take the 72 ounce.
Oh, okay.
I took the 56
"The
ounce.
56
And
ounce
the waitress is like, pussy.
pussy."
You didn't step up, man. What are you guys from
That thing
California?
lasted 4 days.
I mean, the leg of a cow.
It looks like a tire.
It was fun. We had a
They
great
rope
time.
you in because as you're going into this big barn, you're walking by where you can see all the barbecue going on.
Yeah.
And then the girls come out with buckets of beer and
Yeah, and they're wearing not a lot.
yeah. So you're drinking, you're drinking, you're watching as you're getting, corralled into the place to eat.
Right.
You're seeing all the meat cook, and they're bringing you beers. Like, you really want to come in here.
Interesting how they corral you in just like they corralled the
cattle.
cows in.
We were cattle.
We were cattle at that point.
This-
Yeah.
South by Southwest?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going on.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of folks there.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
No, the streets. I mean, and
Yeah.
every bar, killer band.
Crazy.
The people busking on the street.
Well, and the people that we just met walking on the street, really, really great famous players. Just walking down the street. Oh, hey, didn't you just open with the Kinks? You guys were awesome.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing. And plus, Austin's cool because it's a river town like Sacramento. So there was a lot of the
College town.
It's hot. It's a college town. It's a river town. So there was a lot of the same kind of feel. It wasn't tech and huge
Not
like
quite
it is
yet.
now.
It's a
There was no
different
tech
place
then.
It was low. It was
We
low
were pre-tech.
There,
But Austin reminds me of Sacramento in a lot of the way. The only difference is, imagine if Sac State was where Memorial Auditorium is.
Yeah.
If Sac State was downtown,
yeah.
that's the college is downtown. It's right there.
My aunt
On
lived
16th
in
Street.
Austin for a while, and so I went a few times. And I just love college towns.
Mhm.
I love the music scenes that
Yeah.
happen there. I'm an Athens, Georgia guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things that drew me to Sacramento was how you were talking about the eclectic nature of the music and how no two bands sounded quite the same as the others.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what was going on in Athens. So when I got here, there was a lot of blues, there was a lot of covers, but people like Rebel Truth, were playing at China Wag.
Mhm.
And once I found them, I was like, okay, I think I have a home.
Mhm.
I'm digging this. So I'll just start a band because that's what we did in Athens. Everybody just started a band. And then everybody started starting bands. And Sacramento, it's still, I've lived a lot of places. It's still my favorite place on earth.
Well, one of the cool places, it was never a club. It was basically a home for the Earwigs and Sec 66, the Golden Buddha.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was something at one time. It was just a big open room above a hotel on 9th and J.
You could run into anybody there at Venoni.
And
And
it became a rehearsal place.
then right? It was a rehearsal place.
Yeah, Curtis got it.
But they had some parties there with 400
Dude, I remember
people.
climbing onto the roof of that
Yeah.
place from that crazy little balcony up the iron ladder onto the roof, which was not so bad going up there, but coming back down was scary.
You could die.
Rodney's Liquors, right?
Especially since we were doing
Conveniently
things that would
located.
make you a little unsteady on the ladder.
Exactly. Exactly. But that place was so many places. I mean, I mean, it was just so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those places that was the Golden Buddha Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And then art space, rehearsal space, you know.
Right.
So any final thoughts?
It's been really nice to kind of go back down memory road.
Right, yeah.
We recently came across some lost recordings, and we were just like beside ourselves because we had forgotten them completely, and they sound great, and we're like, we should release this.
Is this the live stuff?
This is the live stuff that my brother's producing. They have all this stuff in Los Angeles. We're kind of just signing off on things. We're not involved in.
We're involved a little bit. We've listened to the masters and listened to all the songs, and then
But
made
we're not
our
producing
set.
it or making the actual record.
Yeah, but we're not involved in producing it.
But we heard the tunes and immediately was like,
okay.
there's some gems right here, man. I hope you can hear those.
I believe it's going to be called Lost Dogs. So
Nice.
and it sounds good, and I believe it's going to come out as an LP. That it's going to come out as a record.
It's vinyl.
Excellent.
Vinyl.
Oh, beautiful.
It's vinyl.
Yeah.
So that's really the plan at the
33
moment.
and third RPMs.
Yeah, that's the plan at the moment. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Looking
We're
forward to
excited. You know, that's
thanks for having
It's
us.
weird that
Thank
our
you.
fourth record should be coming out 30 some odd years later.
What the heck?
40 years later.
This is your shot, man.
You never know what will happen. It's a kooky business.
Hey, Frampton Comes Alive came out after he lost his record deal on the first 4 albums.
Right?
There you go.
Right. Yeah. So
Guys, thank you so much.
thank you.
It's been a pleasure.